Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8 and Third Reich events. We're going to continue our crushing of America. Yes. We're in Baltimore. We are heading towards Washington. Baltimore was a very major city. I hope you're not too distracted by my talking about things not to do with World War II here, because there really wasn't a whole lot to do with World War II here at the time, battle-wise and that kind of thing. But Baltimore was a very key city in early America, and this is where the British sort of came in and landed and fought a few battles. Now you got Annapolis here. That could use a unique. Someone should, if I was still working on it, I would do an image of Annapolis, the Naval Academy. One of the best naval academies, if not the best naval academy in the world. Unfortunately, Britain has fallen down, in my opinion. But one of the forts out here is where the big and huge American flag, I mean, it's almost like basketball court size American flag was flying that Francis Scott Key wrote the poem at the time, the Star-Spangled Banner. Was all fought in the British naval invasion of the War of 1812. So we're going to continue. Good, we're crushing this pocket here. That will definitely help us. Okay, first aid has advanced. Yeah, we'll stop that. And, well, we'll do pilot rescue. Prove up. Phoenix City. Okay, well. Counterattacked successfully there. They drove out Phelps and Prinz Eugen earlier. Now this is not helpful. Let's see if we can fly surprise straight up to there. You know, I think we should see about bringing some attack aircraft over. And we'll also see about bringing some more interceptors. The U.S. also built a lot of air bases around there, so there would be, at the time, more air bases, but whatever. Done up on interception duty. I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. What I've been finding here in the U.S. In my opinion, if the AI was just moderately smart, you know, I'm not saying they needs to be some sort of Patton or Montgomery or anything like that, but moderately smart. They could have kicked my ass with all this stuff in Africa. Now that doesn't mean that I would have lost in the sense that they would have driven me out, but the forces that I put into Africa, they would have kicked my ass on, and either I don't know, either thinking the biggest limitations that I was having, of course, was the supply port situation. With that, and I don't know how bad their supply, of course, would be. But if I put in more forces and was able to supply them, it would have become some sort of stalemate. I don't know exactly where and when. They would have also kicked my ass in India. There, both sides would have been able to supply better, but it would have become a real battle royale here if the Americans could supply themselves in what would be British territory. So had they been able to do that while we were still at war with the Soviet Union, fighting in India, which we were fighting there, instead of this being some sort of minor sideshow, they would have either kicked us out or drained lots of resources from the battle of the Soviet Union, which is what, in essence, they did. Now, I don't know, with the geography of narrowing down to basically 2 provinces here, if you were to bring Spain into it, I think I could have readily held in North Africa. Spain could have, if the AI had declared a war against it, could have become a real quagmire for them. I think if I was able to keep hold of Madrid, or I don't know, wherever the other capital may move to, but keep Spain in the fight and then move a bunch of German forces in here, it would have been a real interesting fight, I think, and I think it could have held it. Unlike France, who once they got out of the Bocage area, they just sort of rampaged across. Had they landed forces in here, it would have been an interesting fight. But again, while the fight was going on in Russia, it would have required a significant redeployment of assets. Remember, in Napoleon's case, Napoleon moved in the Grand Army, which had been here getting ready for the British invasion, but once he really determined, correctly I think, that he wasn't going to be able to invade Britain via the sea, as one, I think it's a reasonably accurate quote from one of the head of, I forget, not Hood, well, I forget which one, Jarvis, I don't know, the British Admiralty, when asked how was Napoleon going to be able to invade Britain, and I think his answer was, I don't know how he's going to be able to invade Britain, but I know it won't be by sea. So Napoleon could have either dug a tunnel into the Channel. You can assess your practicalities of that in 1810 or so, or 1803, I think, at this time, when he said it, or you use balloons, because they were experimenting with early hot air balloons. Use balloons to move the Grand Armée and supply it across the English Channel. The English Navy was just damn sure that, and I think correctly, that Napoleon wasn't going to be able to move his army via the sea into Britain. That doesn't mean like they did a couple of, well, they did to Fishguard, which is somewhere in here. Basically a criminal battalion landed at one point, and sort of a couple of sort of uprisings in Ireland that they landed some troops. I'm not saying they couldn't land, 5,000 troops or something like that. The 5,000 troops or less are just going to get eaten by the military British home establishment. I could go into the various types of regiments that were around that were home regiments, not stuff to be sent overseas. Would have just been slaughtered, and which was what happened in the other places. They either slaughtered or just gave up. Not that they can't get some ships and do some landing, but there wasn't going to be any major invasion. All the invasion barges that they were building, basically, sort of like the German sea lion. You know, if you can't control at least the air firmly in World War II, but also the sea, you aren't going to get across and effectively maintain it. So Napoleon had his great army built up, and it was a great army, one of the greatest pre-industrial, I would say, armies ever built. That he sent it into Russia and died somewhere in Moscow and on the way back from Moscow. While that was going on, it was the Spanish ulcer that was bleeding France dry, even though that this army was crushed, obviously. But even with that army basically gone, I think over 3/4 of the people just died, and never made it back. There were some various auxiliary elements that did sort of make it back, but you had Leipzig in the Battle of the Nations, where Napoleon got together, I think, 100,000 plus more troops that weren't fresh raised. They were just other troops occupying in Germany and places, and fought there. It was really ultimately the destruction of the armies in Spain and the invasion up through here by Wellington that finally brought the downfall. And that could have been repeated had you had this state of coming into Spain with minimum forces. Again, I say it would be an interesting battle. I don't think it would be breaking out and crushing across Northern Europe, but just picture 1943, early 1943, 42, we're doing the torch landings and coming into Sicily kind of thing. Instead of maybe going into Italy, though that turned out obviously to work well, but if you were facing a situation where Italy had defeated the British, that was the reason it worked well, is the British had defeated Italy and Germany and North Africa successfully, but before America got into it, had they taken and secured the eastern flank of the Mediterranean, torch would have been a very different looking thing for everybody concerned. That could have been, like I was just saying, a stalemate here set up, that had the Allies in 43, early campaign season 43, invaded somewhere, declared the war, coming maybe charging out of Gibraltar, but also doing some invasions into Spain. Hey, they're nationalists, they're fascists, they're whatever. We're going to declare war on them no matter what they say. What would Hitler have done? He would have, of course, moved forces into Spain like he was doing later, well, and to that degree in Italy. And so that would have bled them white without needing to overwhelm and invade like they did finally up here, but would have created a second front down here. That, while doing that, and again hypothesizing, if you had been controlling Egypt, not necessarily controlling India and everywhere else like we were, but controlling this region, because you would also obviously have been having Italian troops in North Africa. You would presumably be moving more Italian troops into Spain. You would have Italian troops sitting here. You would then be able to do an Anglo-American invasion up into here again. And again, I'm sort of hypothesizing in 43 without having to do a major campaign. Just you kind right in here there's a port. Right in around in here there's a port that you could move through and cut through to the Nile and move up the Nile. That you only need 6 or less good divisions to start doing that, I think, to take on the Italians, if you've already been having multiple divisions, multiple corps operating in here. So you could really be doing this. So a mildly effective AI could have been doing that to me. And the biggest danger is, in my opinion, is doing it while you're in Russia. Now, I will personally state my supply problems, especially in the center. They didn't look like they were ever going to get better, and that is a game engine problem, in my opinion, because we had the supplies, we had the infrastructure well enough that, again, I know I'm bitching about the same thing, but we couldn't, in my opinion, even like knowing that I could retreat back to here and reliably know that once I got here there were going to be supplies waiting for me and then reattack. There was no way to manage that there would be in real life, that you could order up the supplies and know that it was going to take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it was going to take. You know that they would be there barring a counteroffensive or something like that. But even without that, we had no way of controlling the supply situations and doing it. So I did not take what I would have done historically, instead of, like we were, holding on to desperately Moscow, which is sort of the mistake that Napoleon made, because we were looking at victory provinces and hopefully just pushing it over and winning. I would have done much more maneuver warfare had I been able to count on a supplies. I fully agree, in winter or in the situation that you're outrunning your supplies, you're pushing deeper and deeper and deeper, and you run out of supplies, fine, but either you should be able to hold until supplies reach you, or if you're out of supply and the enemy's attacking you, you should at least be able to know that you can retreat back to a place reliably, wherever it is, and get supplies once you're there. So without that ability doing it, I think I would have nailed the Soviet Union faster. And I know that's, bitching about the game, and this is the game we're playing. Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to extrapolate from what the game that we're playing through to real world here as part of the reason I play these games, and not just how to win the game. I look at how we were to look at that. So with all these great mechanized forces, the U.S. could have, I don't know, again, if we had taken the Soviet Union, built up good considerable forces, whether they would have defeated Germany, as in the AI or even a human player would have driven into Berlin and taken me, with some of these basic parameters I'm stating. But they definitely could have kept me out of the U.S. So at least that's my opinion of it. And not just kept me out of the U.S. because of successfully defended it, but just kept me at a place that I would not have felt the ability to invade it. Stop moving there. Go there. These guys occupy the now empty province. Combat medicine advance. War is an awful terrible thing, and it truly is, but it does provide us things like combat, medicine advance that there's no, what is it? Samuel Johnson, I believe, said nothing focuses the mind like the prospect of being hanged. Nothing like war that focuses the human effort on solving problems. So that war and needing to win it focuses human activity on developing things like improving medicine, that attack. We'll support that attack. Think this, was supposed to go down to here. Yeah. Do I have transport for it? Yeah, looks like I do. No, we're going to transport you down to here. We have a few infantry corps over here that we can bring in. We're getting near the bottom of the barrel, at least the main maneuver mechanized forces. But I'm not really worried yet here because we've seen, and I can say seen, to be that we are pushing them well and truly back. Okay, looks like we're going to take this. Well, how are we doing down here? We need to keep pushing. Okay, no position, get across the river. If we can get Charleston. Let's try some ground attack. See if they can survive some. So yeah, I think the only reason I'm winning in the sense of driving into the US is because of bad AI. Uh-oh. They pushed back these guys. Okay, well, At least they're going to fall back on a fairly strong position, and we will counterattack them up that way. Okay, we need to move supplies into Corpus Christi. Yeah, I know, could have just stayed there, I guess. We've won Montreal, at least the battle thereof at the moment. And combined arms, okay. Oh, we'll let that one go. No decisions I want to take at the moment. Okay, the armor should take that just fine. So we'll open that. Okay, well. We're gonna likely do that, I think. Yeah, they're just gonna disorganize themselves on us, though. They're gonna mess with us some. Oh good, we have Charleston now. Great. Well, we need to attach somewhere. But with Charleston, that allows another port. For supplies to run through. Oh well. I'm not gonna concern myself much with trying to get Latin America further into the Axis. We've won basically, so down there. Okay, you can join the fight. You can join the fight. Okay, well let's see. We now have Science Center in effect. Money 5%. Research efficiency 10%. Great. That could be a little bit of a problem. Marine divisions are good, but they're not really set up as dealing with mechanized forces, as you can see there. And the question is okay, it looks like that was across the river. We weren't doing well enough. And they're in the same situation, trying to fight across the river. Oh, they're about ready to collapse. Okay, well. Desperate defense is alright, but it ain't gonna save you in the end. Oh, I was going to stick on... not that one, I don't think. No, that one, maybe. Yeah. Reinforce the HQ. Put in some stem geschütz. And some engineers. That way now we have a rather effective core support element. Let's send them into Charleston here. We have a good transport fleets back here at the time. Yeah. Okay, well they're coming to the relief, so that'll be okay, I guess. Okay, well I'm going to end this episode here. Don't want it to go too long. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the videos. Please post comments. Don't mind some feedback on some of my thoughts on the strategies. See you next time.